Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Sunlight Soul episode. I'm Aaron.
Mila, Moonlight Soul.
And we're going to do a breakdown of this new moon in Gemini coming up here in a few days. And we'll look at the chart here in a second. We're going to look at the chart, do an astrological take, and then we're going to pull some cards and get some advisement and some perspectives.
That's right. And as I mentioned in our first take that didn't take, this is the first lunation, first Gemini New Moon with Uranus in the sign of Gemini for many of us in our lifetime. And it is also the final lunation with Chiron in the sign of Aries on this end, because Chiron, of course, will have retrograde back into the sign of Aries in September, but Chiron is coming up his move into Taurus is coming up on the 19th. So this is the final lunation with Chiron in the sign of Aries on the 29 degrees anaretic. And it's pretty much the only one making some kind of aspect to the moon, which is a kind of sextile with a white orb.
Yeah. And this new moon in Gemini, so new moons are dark moons, so we're seeding something new. Sometimes you can't see details, like if you're driving at night, it's hard to see the details when the lights are blinding you and life moves fast. We're digesting a lot of emotions, especially this past year, the fire horse year. A lot of things are burning down. You can see a lot of this world seems to be a movie. So many narratives, so many moves happening, so much emotions coming to the surface in this past few weeks. A lot of past life or cyclical energies coming up, things from the past. We're seeing reemergence of old stories, not only in this world, but in our own lives. So this new moon hopefully is giving us some new language and showing us some new options and ultimately leading us into choices which help to liberate us here, at least from our own confusion.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I just noticed that, of course, Mercury being a sign of Cancer is a mutual reception with the moon, and this is a second lunation in a row when this is happening, because the previous lunation, the full moon in Sagittarius, was the same case. Full moon in Sagittarius, moon was in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter currently still is in the sign of Cancer. We will still have another lunation. Yes, there will be the full moon in Capricorn at the end of the month, with Jupiter still in the sign of Cancer, and then Jupiter will move into the sign of Leo. We can also see Venus just moved into the sign of Leo a day before this new moon is taking place, and also the moon itself is on 24 degrees, which is the degree associated with Pisces, ending, something is resetting. Of course, new moon to new moon is resetting the last year's new moon in Gemini. We had then the full moon, and now there was the midpoint in December, and now this is resetting the cycle. So the new cycle is being seeded, as I already mentioned, first time with Uranus in the sign of Gemini for many of us in our lifetimes, in over 8 decades. And also this lunation is taking place on Aquarian decan, which is also important to mention, because of course now with Uranus being a sign of Gemini, that's affecting Pluto from this Gemini like a frequency, which is the frequency of choice. It's also all about timelines, about alternative ways of experiencing reality, just like Aaron said in the intro, that there are a lot of stories playing out at the moment. A lot of them are to culminate the stories of the past, to offer a contrast, and also allow us to make a new choice under all circumstances. So it is no coincidence that we experience the Sagittarius full moon first, which is normally reversed. Normally, as it normally goes in astrology, you have a new moon and then you have a full moon. So we would normally have new moon in Gemini and then full moon in Sagittarius. This time it was the other way around, because things got a little bit messed up last year with the 2 new moons in Virgo. One of them was the eclipse in September. So now everything is a bit delayed. That's why the new moons are on the final decans of the sign. And what does this mean for us? That we had the illumination of the old energy before we have to make a new choice. So in a sense, universe is cruel to be kind, because it's saying, okay, let me show you everything that you already know or already believe about your life, so you have the opportunity to make a new choice. And that's also with this Mercury in the second decan of Cancer, which of course is a Scorpio, transformation, and Mars in the second decan, technically third decan of Taurus, just entered into third decan of Taurus, which is actually a Capricorn, which is a cardinal energy, restructuring of the reality. And of course, Saturn in Aries, second decan Leo, creating something new on the 13 degrees. It's all about rebirth. So we have a lot of little nuances that are telling us what actually this Gemini New Moon is offering, but what we choose is up to us, because it's an energy of a void, which is yet to be manifest.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we're starting these months with new moons or full moons and then new moons. So it could also be where it's not new choices, but new perception. Because it doesn't matter where you start with any system, because you can see the logic in many different ways. It's always a progression of the previous energies. So what's different is your lived experience, your perception, your awareness here now. The past, future's the future, but right here, right now, this is life. This is where gnosis can be realized. And so, Mercury's in that second decan of Cancer, Three of Cups energy. So what do you have to celebrate here? Let's look at Uranus and these outer planets. Uranus is the ruler, modern ruler of Aquarius. The traditional ruler is Saturn. And Saturn is squaring, Mercury just came out of a square with Saturn. So we've got Mercury in that second decan of Cancer, the Scorpio decan. And we have Pluto here opposing Venus, and Pluto is in the first decan of Aquarius, and it's sextiling Neptune, another outer planet, and it's coming out of the trine with Uranus. But really, Pluto is retrograde, so that trine is going to be strong for a while, and it will be exact here this summer. So this is like a remembrance energy. We're pulling up the remembrance of choice, of options, of do you want to lose the war to win today, or do you want to start to make choices which affect the long game? And is the long game actually benefiting you when it's tied to a dying system? Are you a well-adjusted person because you're adjusted to a sick society? If the system isn't benefiting all of us, then what good is the system? Why settle on one injustice when the whole thing is unjust? So you got to make choices within. You got to do the things within. You have to kill the shadows within. You have to feed the fire. Okay, once you feed the fire within, the darkness rises without. And this is what cycle we're in, all things happening all at once. You can play out the myths of the old, finish off cultivating a sense of self from the past, and move forward knowing that you're never starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. And this is the spirit, the legacy of human spirit, the fire of life handed up from the ancestors. Transhumanism is it's a dead concept. It is a perfection of a replication. And this whole technocracy and all technology now, while I feel it can be useful, I don't really see a whole lot of future in that. I feel we got to square back into Taurus, the living embodiment of what it means to be alive, and in your own sovereignty and in your own agency. And you meet the earth, you meet reality hands-on, and you cultivate your own value through that, not just projecting your echo loops into the void, into AI or into the experts' professional opinions. You have to live your experience, create new language. And that's what I feel we're doing now with all this energy.
Yeah, and also there is that in conjunction, when you go on the rabbit hole chase, you can see Mars, which is how Pluto acts consciously, as I already mentioned, is on the third decan of Taurus, which is the Capricorn decan. So then we go to Saturn. Saturn is in Aries, of course, ruled by Mars at the moment in the second decan, which is Leo. Then we can go back to Mars. Mars is ruled by Venus. Venus, where is Venus? Venus is in Leo on that 1 degree in conjunction with the North Node. The North Node is on 2 degrees, 2 usually associated with choice, number of choice. Also, you know, in the tarot is the high priestess, which say like, well, you already know the answer is hiding within you. North Node still being a sign of Pisces, you know, ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. Jupiter is just about to come out of Cancer at the end of the month and enter Leo, where Jupiter will stay for another 13 months. And we will not fully understand the transit of Jupiter in Cancer until Jupiter does move into the sign of Leo, because for the most of his transit was either in pre-shadow retrograde or post-retrograde shadow, just came out of it now, literally. So with the Jupiter, you know, as the traditional ruler being on the final decan of Cancer, which is Pisces, still being associated with the North Node in Pisces in conjunction with the Venus, ruler of Mars, Mars being the ruler of Saturn, and so on and so forth. The reality we are creating is unknown. You don't know really what you create, and you have to go through it, you have to experience it. You know, with the South Node in Virgo, you know, the South Node is representing something that we've already gone through, something we already known, ruled by Mercury, also the ruler of this lunation. And this moon technically is unaspected. Yes, it's in opposition with Black Moon Lilith, which is obviously a mathematical calculation, and it is in a white orb sextile with Chiron. But apart from that, it's pretty much unaspected moon, which is telling you, you will choose for yourself, because on that Aquarian decan Piscean degree, it will mean different things to different people, depending whether you are tuned into the past, you know, the Cancer, the South Node in Virgo, both, you know, obviously connected to Mercury, because Mercury is the ruler of the lunation, is the ruler of the South Node. So it's saying you can either continue to keep looking back at the past, the memories of the past, who you were, but with the Mercury being in that Scorpionic decan, and also is the Virgo degree, there are adjustments being made as we live in this life, because all of the things that applied long time ago don't apply anymore. Even with Uranus just recently, at the end of April, coming out of Taurus, where it's been since 2018, the things that we valued, they don't have the same value anymore. The things you strived for, whatever, you know, we thought that this is it, this is the goal, this is what I want in my life, and I'll be happy. And how many people perhaps got there and realized that it was just a mirage, that they're still not happy. So now everything is changing based on where we are right here, right now, with all these transits that are happening. And also, as I mentioned, Chiron moving into the sign of Taurus for the first time since like 1934, right? It was like we were checking, like literally, like in like almost like 80 something year, 90 years, for the first time back into the sign of Taurus. So the foundation of your future really depends on you, you know, with the Saturn in Aries, Mars still in the sign of Taurus, but the Capricorn decan, you know, like how much you feel that you can influence your own life, you know. So what timeline you choose, what reality you seed in, that you will then see manifest, you know, with this Gemini, there's no right and wrong. It's just many, many options which way this can go. And now with Uranus connected to Gemini, we're taking it to the next level, which is why the stories of the past are coming to as a ghost of the past to challenge you, to show you that you've outgrown that narrative, you've outgrown that information, that story. You know, the Black Moon Lilith on the 21 degree of Sagittarius, 21 is the world card in tarot. It's say you graduated from this lesson with the Jupiter on the 26 degree, the Piscean degree, the Taurian decan, because we're here to create a new foundation that is more in alignment with your true authentic essence of your soul. No longer the role playing of the karmic archetypes, but all of that is now passé with Saturn, Neptune in Aries. There is something new that wants to be birthed, and whatever you choose, that it is for you. There is no one size fits all anymore. So this is a very important new moon, because it's seeding pretty much your future timeline, whatever you choose that to be.
And remember, if you are stuck in the cycles of the past, you know, that doesn't mean that you are being abandoned or you're behind. You know, everyone is in their own season, their own cycles. And it's just about realization. You know, every experience you have is another stick in the fire. It's just an element of who you are. It's not the full story. And so in this moment, you aren't who you were yesterday, even 10 seconds from now, 1 second from now. It is about realizing the value of your choices, and the value of your choices is how you feel about yourself. So going back to Black Moon Lilith quickly, she's in a yod with Hygeia here, which is hygiene. And that's not just physical hygiene, it's mental, spiritual hygiene. And Mars. So in your body, what feels right? You know, use the simple intelligence of the body. And if your emotions are not able to flow, that's not good. You know, you have to, you don't have to do anything, but it's good to allow the emotions out. You don't have to calculate your responses to anything in this world. The emotions need to live. You got to let them free. So this hygiene is about letting your emotions flow, you know, and finding that space within yourself that feels right. Do you feel right when you're allowing someone else's delusions or illusions to dictate your life? You feel good when you're in a job that you don't like and you're just sitting there. So just find the suppressions within you by feeling into the body and allowing your emotions to guide you, and make your choices based upon that. You got to live from the self, and then you can live for other people as an example. So pour for yourself, then pour for others.
Well, yeah, and I just noticed that there is a T-square forming, you know, with Pluto, Chiron, and Venus. You know, the Venus is in opposition with Pluto, and then Chiron, just about moving into sign of Taurus, is actually already in a square with both of them. So there's a T-square where there's a lot of pressure on that Chiron, which is the key between Saturn and Uranus. And that is obviously connected to this new moon, because, you know, Uranus is in Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the rule of Saturn. So with the Chiron on that anaretic 29 degrees in this final lunation prior to his first ingress into the sign of Taurus in like long time, quite a few decades, it is showing us the totality, you know, the final degree, if the final decan of Aries is the Sagittarius connected to this black moon Lilith, is showing us the totality of what we already know. And, you know, with this Jupiter in Cancer, it's showing you that, okay, well, how can you trust your inner guidance to guide you into the unknown, into that something which you cannot possibly understand, but everything that you already know is now becoming restricting and limiting, because we outgrown that story. And this is on individual and collective level. So that's why in our personal experience, we keep re-experiencing the same thing, same pattern, same relational dynamics, and it doesn't feel good anymore. We can no longer ignore it and just say, like, well, never mind. And with regards to collective energy, the same thing. We cannot ignore it anymore. It's just too misaligned. There is too much frequency misalignment where it's just not in resonance. It's just not in resonance with where we're going, where our higher selves, our soul is desiring to go, where our collective consciousness already agreed to go, is already going. So I feel with all of this, that's already in a place, you know, it's just the reality, because reality is always delayed. The sound, the vision, everything is delayed by a few seconds. We're just catching up, you know, that the decisions already we made, you know, we already know where we're going. We're just catching up to becoming aware of it. So with this Gemini, it's in a sense like we can either choose to keep playing the role, or just keep being like, allow ourselves to be guided by something that already knows the direction, already knows within us, but there is no logic, there is no proof, there is no guarantee, there is no explanation, because with that Mercury, you know, being in Cancer, it's all about how your soul speaks to you through your emotions and your intuition.
Yeah, it's a conundrum. It's like you have to, it's almost as if you need to be guided by an unknown language. And so that's extra pressure to hold on to the things you know, the things that offer you stability, even if it's not something which is optimal for you or other people. So this is a challenge. It's not easy, but it's art. This is life. All right, should we get into some
Yeah, let's
cards?
do some cards.
All right. All right, let's, well, you can pull first.
I do the Psychic Tarot, very simple one to interpret, from John Holland. Let's just see where the energy is at. So this is guidance for the Gemini New Moon 2026 on Sunday the 14th on 24 degrees, and we have spiritual strength. So this is actually 9 of Wands, which I'm laughing because I just got this card as a card for the week. Well, in this deck, it's purple. It represents the wands, go figure. So it is a spiritual strength, and you can see the higher self has your back, right? There is something behind you that already knows. You know, with the 9 of Wands, usually it's like this person that's beaten with bruises, barely standing, you know, like, oh my God, how much further, you know? And it's saying, you almost there, you almost there, you know, your higher self has your back. It knows exactly where you're going. Also the number 9, you know, it's about endings, you know, it's about like, okay, this this cycle is almost fully manifest, right? And with astrology number 9 associated with Sagittarius, you know, this story is almost complete. It's almost complete. The nodes are on 2 degrees. You know, they're soon to be moving into Aquarius and Leo. There's a whole new energy over there with the Jupiter moving into Leo as well. So yeah, we're almost there. So, you know, the cycle, you can see the circle, everything is happening in cycles. You know, there is no beginning and end, but this chapter is almost complete in a way. So yeah, and also you can see the figure behind is green. So this is where the heart consciousness, you know, the Christ consciousness, heart consciousness, the brain that acts first, you know, which is actually the heart, it's coming online through all the challenges and discomfort that we are experiencing. And at the bottom of the deck, of course, new beginnings, the Fool. You know, it's interesting, like the number 9 Sagittarius, and here you have a globe. Choose where you want to be planted, where you want to be positioned. If you can choose anything with that Chiron on 29 degrees, soon to be moving into the analytics of Taurus, what would you choose? Anything
Yeah,
you
very
want to
well
say?
said. And these hands to me back here, it look like a two-headed snake kind of from a distance. So it's like I'm thinking Ophiuchus, you know, it's the healing. It's spiritual strength is when you've been beaten down, but you're still surviving. You know, it's the wounded warrior. It's the one who's gone through the battle that understands the polarities. So when you're tired, when you're beaten down, it's very difficult to make rational or logical or good decisions because you're not in the right space. You don't have the heart energy activated. You don't got the strength to settle into. So daily practices, when you feel like you're banging your head against the wall, chop wood, carry water, you know, don't give up. Maintain your routines. Find a ritual in life to strengthen a sense of value, something that you're cultivating within yourself, even though you might not see the results in the world around you. You know, every day is a new day, and that's what this represents. You know, every moment is a new moment. Awareness, you know, our limit is conception itself. When we get into feeling, sometimes we're pulled into the emotions, sometimes we're lifted outside. And this is why we get caught up in things which offer a pull or a fire, something to keep us going. We get caught into pathologies. So, you know, just try and keep it simple. Realize you've been through a lot. We're all going through a lot. And it's a new day here is dawning. So what would you do if you could live a good life? How would that look? You know, and if you're not sure, try and don't paint yourself into a corner. Try and find a place where you're in a dynamic frequency where you've got a lot of options here. And so I'm pulling some cards from the Wild Unknown. And so this is the Three of Wands. This is the second decan of Aries. Now that's where Saturn is, I believe, right now. So what dream can you bring into reality? You know, it looks small here. It might just be in your heart. But if you realize who you are is going wherever you're going. So if you can get into that heart space now, if you can find the little things in life to bring you into that energy, then you're going to continue cultivating that, and it's going to grow with time. And you know, there's no such thing as luck. It's when your preparation meets reality. Opportunity is part of your growing awareness and acceptance of your own limitations and your own strengths and those of other people. All right, and I got 8 of Cups. So, you know, see that cup in the middle is upside down. So this is about, it's in the middle of the sun and the moon, so balancing. What is the feeling of balance that you get in life? Like, how can you feed this, the beauty of life? How can you follow the cues, the clues? How can you cultivate a language of synchronicities? What you got to do is pull away the things which aren't benefiting you, all the cups which are not offering you a sense of peace, that don't honor you, and then move forward to your 9 of Cups with that energy. And on the bottom of the deck is the sun. So feed your spirit with things which make you feel like life is worth living. Nourish your soul, nourish your spirit by doing and creating a life worth living. If you've got bills to pay, if you got health issues, if you've got psychological problems, if you've got people in your life, try and do the little things. Make your life your ritual. Do the little things which offer the sense of freedom and creation and peace. And continue to do those, and they'll grow and they'll expand. And you will, where your energy goes, where your focus goes, energy flows. So, when you focus on you, you allow other people to focus on them, and situations tend to resolve themselves. When you stare at something, the observer effect tends to bring your consciousness into that energy, and it's looping, and it's giving an opportunity, place for your unconscious shadows to be projected, and those of other people or situations. So, honor people, honor situations, but you got to give yourself space to create.
Yeah, I wanted to say, especially with this Eight of Cups, because I was just thinking like, oh, this looks like a full moon, sun and moon in opposition, and the Eight of Cups, even though the 8 is already the third, 8, 9, 10, yeah, Pisces, so it's the third decan of Cups. But the first thing that came to me was like how much you've changed since the full moon in Cancer, which was actually the first lunation we experienced in 2026. And the number 8, what is 8 months later? It's August, and we have the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, which will be the final one of that cycle. Pisces eclipses that we experience, no new moon in Pisces, no solar eclipse, only lunar eclipse, and the final one of those we will experience at the end of August. I believe it's August 26th or something like that. So how much has happened in your life since January, how much you've learned about yourself, because obviously at that time we still had Jupiter retrograde, of course Jupiter stationed direct after the eclipses on March 10th, and now Jupiter is just about to enter Leo at the end of this month. So that's one thing, but the other thing is this Piscean cycle that we experienced in the past 3 years, during which we had all these big transitions, with the nodes moving, Pluto moving, the Saturn moving, Uranus, Neptune, everybody moving, right? So a lot has taken place in the past 3 years, and also like I mentioned, it will be the final lunation in the Pisces, final eclipse in the Pisces, and also it will be already with the nodes in the Aquarius Leo axis, because they move in a month prior to that. So yeah, I mean, my intuitive feeling is that there will be a whole new story going on from September, if not, I don't know exactly when September, but for sure from the equinox. So I feel there are a lot of realization happening, and that's why with this Gemini, this is kind of like a choice point, because we're not quite there yet, like we are still experiencing a lot of the past, the past choices, the combination of past choices, the consequences of the past and stuff like that. But I feel once everybody's in the new positions, the node have changed and everything, and the eclipses in Pisces are done and dusted, there is something new, there is a new energy coming. So having this at the back of the mind, how am I going to choose, am I going to choose knowing that, okay, if I do this, and it's what I've always done, it's pretty much guaranteed that the same result is going to be happening, or am I going to choose something different? So again, no right and wrong, but in the Three of Wands, it's about expansion, like Aaron's the second decan of Aries, which is the Leo. Leo is all about creation. That's where Venus is in opposition with Pluto. That's actually something I have in my, not opposition, but in conjunction, I have an aspect between Venus and Pluto as well. So, what are you creating? What are you breaking away from? And then the sun, no matter what you create, it's going to work out, because there is no wrong choice. Your soul is just having an experience, so it's all good. But why create something that doesn't feel good? Because with the Leo, it's about your authentic expression. And the other thing, this looks like a portal, number 3, also associated with Gemini. And it's funny because when I pulled this card, I thought, apart from it being full, and the globe, it looks like she's like just coming in out of portal. It looks like there is a door somewhere in the middle of the universe, coming out of portal. And the other deck that I chose for this reading is the Oracle of Portal. So I'm just laughing to myself how everything is kind of tied together.
And it's weird because this is the 7 of Cups, but somehow I was reading this as the 8. I'm looking at the mountains, you know. I'm pulled into the void beyond. So that's a thing. When you have a lot of options, sometimes it can lead you into a sense of, okay, what is the right option? I don't, it's kind of like the world. It gives you all these choices, but none of them really honor you. It's kind of like all political systems, healthy food. It's, what are the options, you know? So maybe the 7 of Cups here is actually your 8 of Cups. And it's leading to that balance, that sun.
Well, that's
So,
even better because with the 7 of Cups, most people
yeah.
people associate it with like a Pisces, even though it is not Pisces, Deacon of Cups yet. But I
Right.
mean, a lot of people think it's like, 7 of Cups, like what is hiding there, and it's a lot of trickery energy. So that's quite funny to
I
me
know.
because it's like, oh yeah, we just got tricked into thinking there's something else to what it is. But again, takes you back to this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, with the Neptune. It's like, what is truth? What is the truth? What is the illusion? What do you want to believe? With the Jupiter still the ruler of the North Node, what do you want to believe is your reality? Because nothing is what it seems.
Yeah, well said. That 7 of Cups is 3rd Deacon of Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cancer.
this card you pulled earlier reminded me of the dual-headed snake. So Ophiuchus. So it's the path of the sage. It's sometimes it's beyond words or understanding or being able to share with other people, and you can only find the language in yourself. And sometimes you're not even sure that that's what you're doing until one day it becomes evident.
Well, still, I stand up behind everything I already said with the full moon in Cancer, full
Yeah.
lunar eclipse in Pisces, and all the in between. But now the 7 is about higher learning, so it's all good. So now, saying all of that, and with the portal mention, I want to pull a card from the Oracle of Portals. So because with the Gemini, there are unlimited amount of all portals available for you to open and enter into. With this one, new beginning. So what new beginning are you choosing to see? So let's see. This is the collective energy, the reading for the collective energy portal. Okay, there is a jumper. 2. Perfect. Multiverse and London. Yeah, the spirit is
Wow,
like
they
not
landed.
telling you. And at the bottom is independence. So these cards in itself are very, very clear. So multiverse, there is an entire multiverse, in a sense, very similar, right? In one figure with the universe, this one is looking at the universe, this one is looking at the earth being in the universe. So you can say your higher self is looking at you and you looking at your higher self, like, yeah, help me, please. So here with the multiverse, number 37 adds up to number 10, which is the year we are at, 2026, number 10, 0 and the 1. So Wheel of Fortune, and then the Fool and the Magician. So multiverse, the whole multiverse is to your disposal to choose, Gemini, true Uranus in Gemini energy, multiverse, right? And then number 10, another number 10, London. Where do you want to land? What is the portal that you choosing? So literally it's saying the spirit is being funny, Gemini, right? Spirit is being funny. You have the whole universe to choose from. So where do you want to land? Okay. And you are independent. You have the free will to choose. Okay. You have the bird here, number 14. Number 14 is the temperance. In the major arcana is also the number 5, right? Which is the chaos agent. We're going through all this, and yeah, bird singing outside. Perfect. So here we give a bird, because the bird is all about freedom. To me, is very Aquarian. Freedom. You can choose. You can choose where you want to land. Just choose whatever you want to choose. Just choose, it's up to you. But of course, with the Mars, as how Pluto acts consciously in the Taurus on the Capricorn Deacon, right? The 20, and it's also 20, that would be a Scorpio degree, I think. 12 plus, yeah, Scorpio degree. We have to allow the story that bound us, Taurus, bound us to the foundation that externalized our authority to either a government, a deity, ancestor, or whatever, that said that you know me better than I do, that I have to look up to you for guidance. With the Mars being on the deacon of Capricorn in Taurus, it's saying that no, you need to embody Taurus, embody your own authority. You have to allow yourself to transform, to become that which you look up to, you know, because you have the free will to choose, you know, to choose whatever you want to choose, whatever you want to manifest. It's like, again, the higher self is looking at you, you know, from, like, you can say top, even though there is no hierarchy, like, where do you want to land? Where do you want to go? What do you want to choose? Because this is the year, number 10, that this is the year where through a lot of chaos and this distraction, disruption, a lot of healing, you know, temperance, a lot of understanding how things are limiting and needing to be expanded, because temperance is Sagittarius card. We are forced to make the new choice. We are forced. It's kind of like we have a choice. What do you want to choose? But the fact that you have to choose, it's not a choice. That is, you have to make a choice. So what choice do you want to make? So just like Aaron said, if you literally could have anything, if you literally could manifest anything, if you want to have any life you want, what would it be? And with the Mercury as the ruler being in that Cancer, you have to feel it. It doesn't make sense to the logic, because the brain will fight you. The brain will say it's not possible because there is no evidence. You know, with the South Node in Virgo, there is no evidence. You know, so you have to trust something else. You know, something that is beyond the mind. And this is where we are learning how to do that. Uranus in Gemini will take care of that, because it will blow our brains. You know, within the next 8 years, nothing will make sense anymore from the logical perspective. You need to replace one software for another. And this is the seeding process of that.
Oh, I mean, everything you said, I completely agree with. And, you know, how Mars acts consciously and, you know, based off that 7 of Cups, it's like, you know, what literally you said, you know, it's a multitude of choices, and then these cards jump out of your hand. And I mean, this is the multiverse. This is unlimited choices and landing, you know. And sometimes it seems like things are out of your hand, like we can't change the world. We can't change wars and politics. We have to let Wantico kill itself, you know. It's like the world is turning into a vampire. Okay, but it is the mother of invention is necessity. So ingenuity, you know, sometimes when it's out of your hands, all you can do is say, are any of these options really worth my time? You know, and that's what brings you into the will, into that, you know, when your back is to the wall, sometimes you don't have enough life to do anything unless you got the fire, the fight, because something is trying to take it from you. Take your freedom, take your choices, tell you who you are, even though that's not what or who you are or what you represent. And, you know, we're all duped into fighting for culture when culture doesn't really care about you. All it is a program of the polis, and it comes and goes with time. And yeah, there's some good things and there's some bad things in it. But you're a sovereign individual. And that's what unifies all of us. And when you can accept that you have value and who you are matters, you can accept it in another and you can move forward with that. So maybe if you feel like you don't have the options, you don't know what you would choose because you don't even know what freedom is, because you can't see any options. Sometimes the world will give you clarity by putting you in a corner or taking away what seems to be the safety or the familiar or the known. So yeah, that's.
And just the last thing I wanted to show everyone, because look, there is a bird, right? And there is a winged being, right? So it's like, where do you want to land? You know, where do you want to land? Because you are not from this place, you know. It's literally, we all landed on Earth, you know, even though we came through the birth canal, but the spirit that animates your body landed here from somewhere, you know. So I mean, you know, just my little quirky, you know, needs to show what I'm seeing. Yeah. All right, final card pool.
We'll pull another card or two or three from the Tarot of Sacred Kingdoms. And with that, let's see what we can find. How do we define independence when it's basically based off of something else that's completely defined?
Yeah, and speaking of the culture is a dead entity. It only has a life because we project our life force onto it, and that's like that with anything that is our creation. You know, it takes on a life of its own, but it's only being kept alive through your life force that we project onto it.
Yeah, you can honor it, but don't sacrifice for it. You know, and be vigilant, knowing that the system itself will play us upon trying to protect and
itself.
And sacrifice for something that's a dead entity.
Well, that's the opposition between the new moon and Lilith in Sagittarius on the 21 degree.
All right, this card is popping. All right, so Queen of Pentacles here. Now, Queen of Pentacles, it's like pre-Empress energy. You know, you hold the potential of creation. You know, you are the isness itself. You are form. You know, the spirit is settling within you, and as your compassion for yourself grows, so do the options, so do your potential. The freedom starts to find form, and you can create with that. So this to me is about holding on to the things that matter to you, the fire within. Hold that, the kingdom of heaven within you, so you can bring that out. Don't sacrifice it for the fight of something else. The gaslighting, the data, the statistics, the science, the truth of a monotheistic cult. All right. All right, and Two of Pentacles. So here's Two of Pentacles. You know, it looks like he's got a world in his hand. He's creating something, but he has his feet are on the ground. So he's in a place that's familiar. He knows this place, but there's a world being born within him. And that's similar to this. You see, it's small in this portion, you know, the Queen of Pentacles, it's deep within us. All the possibilities are deep within you. Then you start to bring them out and you try and juggle it with life. How do you bring this out? Let's see what's at the bottom of the deck here. The Ace of Pentacles. Wow.
Full of Pentacles.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a lot of pentacles here. And they're all energy work. You know, that's what I see when I see this. So it's about, you know, the feminine energy. That's the void of creation. Okay. Yang is actually very static. It's a happening, but once it happens, it can't change. So it's a process. You know, the yin is the true yang. It's where all yang is born. So this is deep within you. You're bringing it into reality, and you're trying to juggle this dream, this thing you want to create, this creative spirit, this value with the felt presence of your life. You know, you're still in familiar territory. There's structures of the past that are still keeping you, holding you. You know, but right here, Ace of Pentacles, this is the new creation. This is what it's all about. What can you bring to earth? What can you manifest? It's first, it has to be a value to yourself. If you build it, they will come, so to speak. So know that you're creating the future through the here now. Try and get into the frequency of all frequency, not just high vibe. You know, honor the emotions as they come and go, and try to create with them. Allow them to grow through you and release them. You know, bring them to the fire of your purity and let it feed you. You know, try not to suppress anything that's a pathology from the past. You know, when other people bring them to you, see what you can do to see it in a new perspective, a higher perspective. How does it look in 5 years and in 5 days? You know, how do you cultivate yourself so that you can accept? That's what I'm seeing with these cards.
Yeah, I feel this is the Venus as the ruler of Mars, who is now currently the ruler of Saturn and Neptune. Saturn is the structure of reality, which is being reset, and Neptune is the infinite. It's all there is the infinite universe, the potential of it to be created. And with Mars being in Taurus, ruled by Venus, who just moved into the sign of Leo, which is the creation, ruled by the Sun, which is the co-creator of the Gemini New Moon. That's perfect, because I'm thinking like, well, why do we have all this, you know, fire with the earth, you know, fire with the earth, but we are birthing new earth. That's what it is. With the Ace of Pentacles, in the individual life, if this card comes up, usually it represents like a new sense of purpose, new sense of being, new sense of creation on this earth. Like you are creating something new for yourself, new experience, right? The pentacle, the manifested reality in a tangible form, right? And with the Queen of Pentacles, in some teachings they say she represents Capricorn, in some teachings she represents Taurus. One way or another, she is embodying the element of earth. So she is creating something. You can see all of these cards are holding fire. They hold in fire a new creation on earth. And then, of course, with the two, it's again the choice. What do you want to create? What do you want to create? You already been here. You already experienced this. Your emotions, Mercury in that Cancer is guiding you, is teaching you, is showing you through the emotional feedback what already had been done, what already had been experienced, whether in your life, in your past life, with your ancestral lineage, with the world in itself. If it doesn't feel good, it doesn't matter if it happens to your grandma or somebody on the other side of the world. It just doesn't feel good. It's not in alignment. That's it. End of story. You don't need to dig very deep to find all the paralysis of the reason why it doesn't feel good. Okay, what does? The contrast, that too. Focus on the contrast. What do you want to create? What do we all want to create? What would be the new sense of purpose and destiny for you and for humanity? This is still with the note in that Virgo Pisces. This is a collective energy. Once it moves into Aquarius Leo, that is the Aquarian energy, the energy of bridging the earth with the cosmos, the multiverse. So that's what I mean with this Gemini new moon, and also because it is the final new moon before a new season starts. We are heading for the solstice, right? Summer solstice, winter solstice, if you are in a southern hemisphere. So there is a new chapter opening up with the Cancer season. Something new will be born. So now with this Gemini, we have a choice what it is that you want to birth. Where do you want to go from here, especially with all of these planetary shifts that we are experiencing in the upcoming days, weeks, months, Chiron, then Jupiter, and then eventually the nodes at the end of July. Plus, at the time of this lunation, which we forgot to mention, Uranus is squaring the lunar nodes. Actually, we're recording this when Uranus is squaring the lunar nodes exact right now, as in a real time, and we're recording this video. Resolution North Node in Pisces, ruled by Neptune in Aries or Jupiter in Cancer, whichever way you want to look at it. Either way, it say that the new way of creating is not through the evidence of the past. It's through how do you want to feel, and the details will fall into place by themselves. So focus on that fire, focus on what is the authentic expression of your heart, of your soul, and then the elements will come together to give you the form. So that's what I feel, with the Gemini, it is not to choose what you know, it is choose how you want to feel.
Yeah, well said. That's the death of absolutions. You're making space for new language to grow.
And then at the bottom of the bottom was the Six of Swords. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4.
And look, there's fire on the boat,
6.
So it's like, what's the foundation of self that can honor and hold the spirit, the fire of reality through the lived experience?
7. So this is the second decan of Aquarius, Gemini. Yeah, Aquarius, Gemini. New moon in Gemini on Aquarian decan. Moving into a calmer waters, going beyond, like you look at the world or your life. I mean, I'm sure everybody's experiencing it to a certain extent, and there is so much like a stormy weather in the world, stormy weather outside if you are somewhere where it's raining, stormy weather in your life, stormy weather in your head, because there's so much going on. We are constantly overstimulated by everything, the vomit of information projected onto us at any second of every day. So the way to create a new reality is not to focus on that, is to override it and go into the quieter place, like this is a boat in the sky. So it's like you have to go into something that is above and beyond the reality you are experiencing to create a new reality, because the new reality cannot be created from the same space this one was created. We cannot change it by focusing on the manifested form. We can only change it by focusing on the void, on the not manifested that will then become the form. So Six of Swords in this particular interpretation is potentially dream work, meditation, you know, something that is in the clouds, but not the AI clouds.
Yeah, well said. All right, well, that was our interpretation for this Gemini full moon here. We hope it was beneficial. As always, take what resonates, leave the rest. And thanks for watching, listening, and reading.
And of course, if you would like to get additional guidance regarding astrology, your chart, your transits, whatever's going on in your life, then don't hesitate to reach out. You can either book the readings through my website, lunation369.com, or as I mentioned, and we mentioned in our previous videos, we now also offer donation-based readings for those who are struggling currently with all sorts of situations, and in that case you pretty much pay what you can afford. So for those kind of readings, email us directly on moonlights369@gmail.com or aries.project@gmail.com, and then we can sort something out.
All right, thanks for watching, everyone, and take care.
See you again. Bye.